What up, though, my afro? It's your boy Turned to a Twizzle. Trying to give y'all some update before I hit it. Everything I said is coming true. It's following the pattern. All the shutdowns I said that are going to happen in a couple days, they all happened. Uh, as far as the infection, I said how fast it was going to spread. It is. It has happened. Once they said it was in Stark County, that's 2 hours from me. I knew the next day that we were going to have it infected, and we have. I think we actually have one death here in Columbus, Ohio. Uh, they announced a couple days ago that 1% of Ohio's population probably has the coronavirus. There are 11 million people here. So, you do the math on that. It's 11 million people in Ohio. Uh, so they said 1% of that probably has it. And now they're confirming people that do have it. And to stop the spreading or to try to halt it. So what had happened was they didn't close certain businesses. Restaurants, they didn't close those. Gyms, still open. Uh, some businesses were still open. So our governor, Mike DeWine, decided today, or excuse me, yesterday, he's like, businesses closed, restaurants, because there were large gatherings at restaurants. People were like, I'm going to be okay even if I get it, which is true. There are a lot of people who are catching it, and after about 3 days, if it doesn't give you, fluid in your lungs, if you're not doing a whole lot of coughing, if you don't have a fever, but you know you have the coronavirus, then it's a good chance after a couple days that you're going to be fine. This whole thing is going to have a lifespan of about 3 months. So we are at the beginning of those 3 months. And even you have some doctor on CNN, he said that most people should hunker down for 3 months. So people have prepared for that. You go to Kroger's, and I knew this a couple of weeks ago. I was like, imagine seeing a bunch of empty aisles. Well, that's what you're seeing in Kroger's now. It's just a bunch of empty spaces. You can't get hand sanitizer nowhere. You can forget about toilet paper, chicken. So there's a lot of things that people have just went and snatched. Tomorrow I'm going back because I need some more soap. So I'm thinking I can get that. You can get beef and stuff like that. Your job is still. Where do you live at? You're in New York or something, aren't you, Ray? Yeah. Okay. So the jobs that have Sam's Club. No wonder why your job is still open. Yeah, Sam's Club. Oh, you're in Bedford. Yeah, but you're at Sam's Club though. They haven't closed. They're not going to close Sam's Club anytime soon. And you're at the big retailer. They're not going to. Okay, let me not say that. I can see. Okay, Sam's Club, Kroger's, Giant Eagles, those places, Walmart. I can't. Target. I can't see those places closing anytime soon. What I can see them doing is, okay, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why. Because because those places are where a skeleton crew of suppliers are gonna go, and the way the city and the state is setting up its emergency services, they're going to need, especially Sam's Club, Costco. they're going to need Target, Walmart. They're going to need all of those places to stay open because what they're going to do is they're going to contract people out to take food to other people. We do not have the resources. Like they'll probably use the bus system and say, they'll fill up all the buses with food. They'll all have schedules, and there'll be just regular bus routes. But some of those buses will go to like the outskirts because Ohio is not densely populated. So what's going to happen is they're going to find out all these addresses. You're going to be able to. This is how it should go. You're going to be able to have like an order that you need filled out, and it's going to be like a bus Uber, and they're going to drop off food in certain areas, and you're going to have to get out and go to that certain area. It might be a church or something like that, and go in there and get your food. Now they're going to have it to where when you walk in you might get sprayed down or something like that, but that's what's going to happen. This is why Sam's Club hasn't closed, because they're going to need them. There's gonna see, the supply lines haven't shut down completely. They just haven't. And all the people snatching toilet paper, and Cleveland is in the house. What up, Cleveland? All the people snatching Perel and all that. Like that was like this one guy had like thousands of dollars worth of Perel. It just makes no sense. Snatching some toilet paper, I get it. But they're going to go and bring in, those supplies are gonna be refilled. They haven't cut those out all the way. There's a skeleton crew of supplies that has to come in. Trucks come in yesterday. Then people buy up everything. Too much money. Yeah, but here's what's going to happen with that. Here's what's going to happen with that. Because you have people who don't have a lot of money, myself included. I don't have a lot of money. But you have people who are at a disadvantage because they don't have a lot of money. So these people going in and buying up all of everything and walking out with, 50 rolls of freaking toilet paper in a house of four, it's just like you're only gonna need to be locked down for maybe 3 months. It's just like, come on, you don't need that much toilet paper, and there are other people who are at a complete disadvantage. So what's gonna happen is the National Guard is going to start hanging out at Sam's Club and other places. And when these trucks roll in, they're going to have a mandate on how much of the hot items that you can get. And that's just going to be it. And anybody who tries something, they're going to be facing the U.S. Army. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to face the police. There's not going to be a negotiation. There's going to be people standing there with M16s, and there's going to be Army guys standing there with, they're not going to be armed. But the M16 guys are going to be very visible for any idiot who tries to walk out with a bunch of stuff. No, we're not having that. We're not negotiating. It's not going to happen. The whole situation reminds me of the Titanic. The ship already has a hole in it. Well, the difference between the Titanic and this is uh, uh, the people who were, for one, steering the Titanic. They, they listen. They were already going too fast. That ship shouldn't have never been going that fast. And the area that they were going in, they knew the propensity of, running into something. So there was a lot of awareness of what they were doing, that they didn't, that they were just like, it's the Titanic, it couldn't sink. There was a lot of pride. Now, what you can compare that is we have our president was like, I'm not worried about the corona. 2 days later, I'm worried about the corona. 2 weeks later, we're in a state of emergency. You know what I'm saying? Well, here's the thing about that, because there's a lot of questions on overreaction. Here's the thing. Okay, let's just take it from a medical point of view. The coronavirus has a 1% mortality rate. So you got 11 million people just in this state alone, just in Ohio. So what's that? 11,000 deaths. 11,000. Just a minute. No, just drink this in. Just drink this in. What's that? 11,000? Am I right? 1% of 11 million is 11,000. Now just drink this in. That's 11,000 people in 3 months. Just think, and that's one state. One. That's the possibility. It has a 1% mortality rate. So just drink that in. See, it's not overreacting when you've already seen evidence of what can happen. You already have numbers. China was ground zero. Now Europe is actually ground zero. Listen, they have in Iran, they're digging mass trenches for the death toll that's happening over there. So now even now keep going with this. Europe is now ground zero. China has already been through it. It started 3 months ago. They're finished. They're finished. They're in recovery stage. We are not even close to that yet. We're about to go through the storm. They're coming out of the storm. They got a handle on thing. Listen, they built 2 hospitals in 10 days. Okay. Okay. They're spraying the streets. They're spraying everything. They shut everything down over there. Now Europe, all of Europe is now actually they need to quarantine it. But what the problem is the president said he's stopping people or trying to stop people from flying back in, but there's a deadline when those people come back to the United States. These are Americans who are in Europe. When those students, when those family members who are over there for whatever come back to the United States, it's just going to be a powder keg. It's the look. It's already there's only one state that the disease is not in. 4 or 5 days ago, it was only in like three states, and I think it's West Virginia. West Virginia is the only one that doesn't have. Nobody has the coronavirus, but because it's airborne, I'm like I bet somebody has it now. But just imagine that when those people all touch down, boom, they're ground zero in Europe. Once all those people get off the plane, it is over. If you're not, and they're not going to quarantine every single airport, even the private ones. They're not going to do it. It's just not going to happen. When those people get off, it's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. And like I said, it has a 1% mortality rate. How many people live in New York? Just in New York. How many people live there? I mean, I don't have the numbers up in front of me, but it's like what, 9, 10 million people in New York alone. That's just in New York. I mean, come on. If that virus hits New York and spreads and starts killing off people like they say it will, one doctor said you could be looking at 1,000 deaths a day. A day. So for those people who think that it could be a hoax, the president just released $50 billion. $50 billion. Listen, when the president first took it serious, he asked for $2 billion. You know how much he got? He got 8.3. And he said, I only asked for $2 billion. They gave him 8.3 and were just like, take this seriously. Now he just released $50 billion. And you know why? Because of the workers, the people who are out of work. Listen, from the small business to the larger business. Apple just closed. Apple. Apple just closed. There's nobody at the desks of Apple. Bro, even if it is a hoax, it's the most elaborate hoax I've ever seen. And I don't think it's a hoax. Listen, they closed Harvard last week. You know what's going down when they close Harvard. That's where, a lot of our presidents come out of. So no, I think it's a very serious thing. I think the National Guard they're already rolled out. Uh, what they're doing though, they're taking a very passive role right now. You don't see them with weapons. That's all going to change. What they're doing is they're helping people get food. So they have these lines. You can roll up and get food. And I think, like I said, for my man who works at Sam's Club, I think Sam's Club. Listen, I don't even think people are going to be able to get in the door. I think they're going to stop that. There's not going to be people coming in the door of Sam's Club. I think what Sam's Club is going to do, it's going to be taken over. It's going to be completely taken over. The doors are going to be open, but you're not going to be able to go in. You're going to have the employee, are going to have a tent. You're going to have a tent, makeshift tent outside, and you're going to have everything that people need, all the essentials, from food to toilet paper to Perel to soap, all the essentials, not the whole store. Not the whole store. You're going to have the essentials. It's going to be a short list of essentials, and that's what's going to be set out front, and it's going to be rationed out. And that's it, and that's all. It's going to be rationed out. There's not going to be any price gouging, it's like that some people are doing. There's not going to be any sleight of hand, no favoritism. It's I don't care what you did, in normal world. We're not in normal world, okay? I don't care how much money you got. I don't care what color you are. This is how much this toilet paper is. This is how many you get. Boom. That's it, and that's all. And the National Guard is going to be standing there, you know. You're going to see Humvees. You're gonna see how. Listen, they haven't put it on a show of force yet, but they already called them into action. Okay, they already called these guys into action. They're doing this, but not to their fullest extent. So they're waiting for somebody to act a fool. And I'm telling you, all this fighting that these women are doing, all that's gonna come to a screeching halt. There's not gonna be any N word going around. None of that. None of that. I'm telling you, once the military gets involved, all that stupidity is going to shut down because you don't want it with the U.S. military. And that's the truth. So, and they're going to organize everything. There's not going to be all this hollering and fighting. There's going to be get in line, get your act together, or you can go home. And dare you to say something or pull up and act a fool, it'll be lights out for you. Listen, the U.S. military is already at airports. They've been at airports for over a year. At the airport in full gear, weapons. And listen, they have more than one weapon on them. They had an M16 on them, and they have 9 millimeters on them. I think those are either 9 or they're 40s. I don't know. One of you gun experts. But they're standing there in full gear, U.S. military at the airport. Like what? They've been doing that for like a year or so. Okay, so it's not going to take anything for them to stand outside the grocery stores and get all of that organized so it runs just as smooth. Listen, when the government released that money, I already knew what time it was. I'm like, they just released the U.S. military, is what they did. You're going to have the passive weekend warriors. Those guys are called into action right now. But it's going to be a whole different party in a week. In a week, it's going to be a whole. It might be less than that. So yeah, you're gonna still be at work. They're gonna still get shipments. And listen, it's even more compounded now because they closed down restaurants. There were large gatherings at restaurants. Why? Because people are hungry. Not everybody cooks at home. You know what I'm saying? It's like coronavirus be damned. I'm hungry. I know I can go and buy some food. I'm gonna go and do it. Not anymore. Not anymore. So not everybody has a stockpile of food. They just don't. So, you're which listen, when Rome fell, for one, there was Rome in the east and west. When Rome fell, they and one of Rome's problems when it came to the Black Plague is that the emperor didn't want to be emperor, and he put somebody else in charge. And this guy would take the food. He was taking wheat that was coming in from Africa, and he was hiding the wheat. and the people were starving on the street. So the Black Plague, which was delivered by mosquitoes, would come, and this is when 1 million people lived in Rome. So it would just follow the roads, and it would just come in right, and just devastated people. Why? Because they were hungry. They couldn't fight off the disease while they were starving. No wheat. You're not eating. So eventually they found out who did it, and basically killed the guy. He was actually torn to bits by the people, and they finally released the food. I'm bringing that up because during these times, of course, food is the big common denominator, and it's not because of so much of people fighting for it. No, if you don't keep people fed, they cannot fight a disease. It just does not work. And the more people that get sick, the more the problem is compounded. So any epidemiologist would be like, make sure the people eat. Make sure that people are healthy. Make sure that people are getting tested. Make sure that people have a way to get food. Do not make it hard for somebody to get food, because if you have one household of like 5 people, and one person walks in that household and they get sick because it's airborne, and then those people disperse to wherever they're going, wherever they're going, now you just have it over and over, and you do not want that problem. It already spread across listen, it spread across the US in less than 2 days. It just caught the wind, and just in less than 2 days, it just boom. Okay, so this is not a problem that you want. You don't want people getting sick, because the symptoms are, and a lot of people think if you sneeze that you have it. No, the symptoms are coughing. If you're coughing, and uncontrollably, and you're constantly coughing, okay, you might need to get tested. Okay, and what is it? Coughing and fever. So you might need to get tested. Don't go get Theraflu or nothing like that. It's a good chance that you have the virus, the coronavirus. Uh, so there are a lot of sick people in Ohio, but I think it's, like I said, it's going to be a powder keg once everybody lands from Europe. And when they actually figure out the actual number, which I don't think they will for probably years. I just don't think that they're going to figure out the actual number. For one, they're setting up places where you can go and get tested if you have the symptoms. They're telling everybody, don't just roll up to one of these test sites and get a cotton swab just because you feel like it. Uh, it's if you have the symptoms. If you're sick, if you're feeling like you have a fever, if you're coughing, or any of those things, if you're getting chills, any of those things, get in your car, go down to one of these places where the testing people. You don't have to get out of your car. They just hand you a test kit, or they swap your mouth real quick, and then they take your information, and then that's it. Boom, you go home. You're not touching anybody, no nothing, and that's it, and that's all. And don't go with something like, if you think you're sick, don't ride with somebody else who they're not sick. Okay, if you think you're sick, go by yourself. Wipe the car down when you're finished, and then let somebody else drive themselves there. If they think they all of a sudden have contracted coronavirus, don't everybody pile up in the van and go down and get a test. It just doesn't make any sense, because now it's possible, if you are sick, everybody is sick too. So don't do that. So uh, take it very seriously. For those of you who keep asking that question, look. Do I think it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a hoax. It doesn't matter if it's fake. Go through the motions. Just do it. Just go through the motions. Because, like I said, the U.S. military is involved. Don't don't mess around. People are taking it very serious, and people are scared. Don't mess with that. Don't play with that. Don't I've seen people doing coronavirus pranks and the coronavirus challenge. I think those people are really, really stupid. I think that's just the dumbest thing to do. Don't act like you have the virus and do this whole thing just for YouTube ratings because people are very, very afraid. And you know what happens when people are afraid? They do stupid things, and you do not want to be on the other end of somebody just overreacting completely. Just don't even mess around. Take it serious. If it's a hoax and we find out that it's a hoax, okay, fine. We went through the motions. We all lived. You know, nothing's wrong with us. It was an elaborate trick or whatever. Those deaths never happened. You know, whatever the case, we went through the motions. We're fine. We didn't get hurt. But don't go out there and play with it. And I'm just gonna do what I want. When they have curfew, I'm gonna, listen. When they have curfew, and they will have curfew, the streets will be closed. They're almost closed now. Businesses, I mean, this place is a ghost town. When they have mandated curfew, meaning you can't come out of your house and just freely go where you want, you can do it now, but that's going to stop. When they have mandated curfew, don't go outside. Don't go outside and like try to buck the system. Just do what they say. Because, like I said, you don't want to mess around with and catch a federal charge. And that's what's going to happen. And this is not what you want to do. Because when you catch a federal charge, they can leave you in jail for 2, 3 years without putting you in front of a court. They can just leave you there and pretty much forget about you and come back 3, 4 years later and be like, oh, yeah, you're here. Oh, what did you do again? Curfew. Yeah, you're the idiot who was running, I'm just telling you, there is no time limit for them to, there's no speedy trial. It's just not something you want to play with. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be locked up with a bunch of other people. It's just not what you want to do. So go through the motions, do what they say. If they're not asking you to do something that's life threatening or ridiculous, just stay at home and, enjoy yourself. It's not a big deal. It'll be over soon. Make sure you got plenty of whatever, washing your hands and all the other stuff they tell you to do. But Ohio is going to be on lockdown soon, and except for I think the places that, like I said, a skeleton crew, I think is still going to be up and kicking. And unfortunately, but fortunately, Sam's Club I think is going to stay open. And what I think they might actually have you guys do is start dressing differently too. If it was me, if I was a president, and I had a skeleton crew of supply lines open, I would not have you guys still dressed in Sam Club's gear. I just wouldn't. I would have you guys look like you're getting ready to go to outer space. But it would be workable, whatever would be workable. But I would make sure you had mask on. I'd make sure your hands are covered and all that. It'd be a little uncomfortable for a little while, but nonetheless, it would definitely be necessary. So yeah, the supply lines. You listen. You want Sam's Club to stay open. You want Kroger's and all those. You want the supply chains to still. You want that to happen because if those close, if listen, if they close, it's gonna be even more widespread panic because the first thing people are gonna go is, where do I get my next meal? Everybody knows where to get food now, even though there's certain things that aren't on the rack anymore. You can't get chicken anywhere, but everybody knows where to go. But if they close those supply lines or if they close those stores, listen, now the stores are only open till what? Till seven p.m. now, right? So that they have these weird hours now. So they're only open till like 7 p.m. So after that, it's a dub. You're not getting anything out of these stores. But you don't want these stores to close permanently because you're going to be asking, Where do I get soap from? Where do I get this from? Where do I get that from? And eventually, hunger will drive you to come outside and, fend for yourself. This is just not a situation that they want. They want people to stay in as much as possible. So some of these places have to stay open at least for, 5, 6 hours a day. And like I said, I think all of those places are going to be, they're going to start being controlled. Now, the death toll so far in America, just in America, is 50 people. I said America, just 50 people. I think those numbers are going to those numbers are going to escalate within the next week. I think it's going to go from 50 people to 2,000 people within a week. I'm not wishing nothing bad, but like I said, once all those people come back from Europe, and once the, the proverbial dust does settle, then that's when you're just going to see a lot of sick people, especially those with pre-existing conditions. Uh, and I think this is when we're going to get into the bulk of the of what could be hysteria if the hospitals aren't well supplied. So they were having an issue with tests. They didn't have all these tests and so on and so forth. So I think they're of course working hard to rectify that because they're working with big pharma pharmaceutical companies. I think that's one reason why you guys are saying, oh, this could be a hoax because big pharma is in on it. Just forget about the hoax part. Just forget it. Listen, the tests are free. Just forget about it being a hoax. Worry about that later. You know what I'm saying? Oh, just worry about that later. Protect yourself right now. That's the mode you should be in. Survival mode. We can be conspiracy theories. We're gonna pick it apart. When this is all over, we're going to pick it apart. We're gonna have long, extended conversations about this for years to come because it's unprecedented. This has never happened during our time. You know what I mean? So and there's gonna be a lot of things that changed. But what we don't want is somebody dying and then we're going, oh, it is real. We don't want somebody that we know. We don't want somebody that we know die and then go, you know what? It was real the whole time. Try to read your comments. So yes, I think it's real. I think it's very real, and I think you should take it. Uh, well, okay. As far as population control, yes, that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is. This is population control. Now I know you mean that on on a very drab end of things. They're gonna kill off a bunch of people because there's eight billion people in the world, and we don't have enough food. Well, let me remind you guys how. For one, we throw away billions of dollars of food every day. America loves to eat, and as soon as something reaches past a certain date, we take that food and throw it away. So we don't have a starvation problem. We don't. We have a greed problem. So let's get that together. I work in a grocery store and we don't have protection. Well, you need to protect yourself because I went to Kroger's the other day and I saw one person working with gloves and a mask. You need to protect yourself. Somebody in your store is infected. I'm telling you right now, it is. I'm going to wear protection. Yes, gear for yeah, yes. There you go. Like, look, I went to Kroger's with a mask on. I was the only one in there with a mask on, and one lady looked at me and twisted her face up like idiot. And I was like, you think I care what you think, lady? I'm gonna rock this mask something terrible. I might even, put my name on it. In the, oh, I can't read that track stop. Oh, if the 18 wheelers stop rolling, all hell's gonna break. Yeah, so that's what we was talking about earlier. I don't know who's coming, Jason. That's what we was talking about earlier. This is not what the government wants. They don't want 100% anarchy. They don't want that. There's no benefit in that. There isn't. There's no benefit in that because people, if people flip out like that, listen. Let me put it to you like this: there are 12 different militias in the U.S. All right, and one of them is just right up the street from here in Michigan. All right, you don't want those people coming out and lighting people up. You don't want them getting in their trucks and grabbing their M16s and their assault rifle that Joe Biden wants to get rid of, and all that other stuff. You do not want those people to load up with 100 rounds and start traipsing through cities and whatnot. That's just a bad idea. That is a bad idea. Those people you don't want to go into survival. They already hate big government anyway. You do not want to see that. This is not what the government wants. They don't want to provoke those people. They already seen what those crazies did up in Denver. What was that? 2 years ago, those people took over that spot in Denver. The federal they took over a federal building, and then and then the local police didn't want nothing to do with it, and the feds rolled up and shot those people. The feds did that. Do you think this American judgment? No. This is not something America did. This is not something America provoked. This is not something that happened because America ignored something. I think when you get judgment that's heaped upon you, it's because you were ignoring signs. There was something that God was telling you to do, and you just didn't do it. And you just ignored all the signs. And the more you ignored the warning signs, he was firing a shot right over the bow, and you were just like, it missed me. I'm still good. No, that's not what this is. I think, if anything, is China's judgment. I think that a lot of their ways are unsanitary. And when you look at the Black Plague, a lot of those people didn't have to die. What, 70 million all the way across Europe? A lot of those people didn't have to die, but they had very, very unsanitary ways of living. They were taking raw sewage and dumping it right on the streets of England. I mean, if you were standing up under somebody's window, you could be wearing what came out of their body. And then, they would just be standing there like, somebody just poured crap on me. No big deal. It was so bad that they would, when the sewage finally did go into the river, they would fish in that same river. And, the fish that they were eating would taste like crap. I mean, listen, the people in Johnstown, when they first settled, those ships in Johnstown, when they first settled, they ran out of food to eat. Do you know what they were eating? They were eating their own feces. So Europe, okay, that's a rough start. And then all of them disappeared for one reason or another. They all starved to death. So they were eating their own feces. So China has some very, very unsanitary ways. The vendors, the street vendors, they were using, I call it sewage grease, but there is a name for it. That just normal people would go out and they would dig out of the ground or whatever, and then they would bring it to these vendors. And when they bring it to the vendors would take it, strain it, and then cook with it, knowing that there's all kind of unsanitary things with it, and then feed it to you, and you already knew what they cooked your food in. No, you don't ignore that. Uh, they do be eating bats and other types of. Well, they're saying that it came from bats, but remember, we thought AIDS came from green monkeys. AIDS came from the Dutch. It was a doctor who created it to try to, and he pretty much lied, and he wanted to test it, so he used human tests. He went to Africa where there were already sick people and said, "Hey, this will make you better," which was a lie. Hey, what's going on? The dark skin activist Rashida Strober, how you doing today? So that is the update in Ohio. We are pretty much almost on complete lockdown. Once again, I expect the military to take over anytime soon. I live right next door to me. I can look out my window and there's a military. There's DCSC that's right there. There are military equipment everywhere, but that's always been like that. I have uh, I have no doubt in my mind that the soldiers on that base, I see them all the time. Those soldiers are going to roll out, and when they roll out, they're going to roll heavy. It's not going to be any tanks or anything like that. Not here in Houston, though. I believe you're going to start seeing a military action that's going to be a lot more aggressive. Martial law yet? Martial law is next. Martial law is next. And this is why I'm telling you people who think that this is a hoax or some joke or don't want to take it seriously, do not mess around with martial law. Do not come close to it. Do not try to prank people. Don't go out there and just think because I'm young that nothing's going to happen to me. You do not want to set the military off. You do not want to bring any of that to attention. Please like the video, y'all. I never ask people to like it, but thank you very much. You can like it if you want to. I just try to give you guys the information that's going on in my city, in my state, and what I think about what's going on around the country. You guys ask me some very interesting questions because of my background, I believe. For those of you who don't know what my background is, let me say it real quick. I have a degree in health service administration. My concentration was epidemiology. I'm ex military. I was a food service worker in the military, before the military and after the military. And I used to work for the Ohio House of Representative. So this whole thing is kind of right up my alley. I'm 52 years old, so I haven't been in that line of work in a minute, but nonetheless, I understand a lot of what they're doing. So that's kind of where I'm at. I understand a lot of actions that they take when the military rolls out. I've seen the military roll out for Desert Storm. It is a whole different animal than civilian life. It's a whole complete monster. And like I said, it's nothing to play with. It just isn't. You are not Billy Badass when the military rolls out. You're just not. Just do what they say and keep it moving. And that's how they operate. When they come to take complete control, that's exactly what they want. They're not going to negotiate with you. That's not what's going to happen. If martial law goes into effect, you're going to see Humvees rolling down the street heavy. And you're going to see armed, and they're not going to be armed like guards or something. They're going to be armed military soldiers who probably did, a couple tours. These are not going to be weekend warriors. Weekend warriors look totally different. They look like somebody who isn't in the army all the time. Look like somebody who's never seen combat, even though some of them might have seen combat before. Regular army, a different shade of soul. These people probably seen combat, some of them. If not, their friends have. My friends went and seen combat. I stayed stateside. There was combat during stateside. There were people getting killed right in the barracks next to me. So, and like I said, the military is a whole different shade of soul. Don't mess with it. Just do what they say, and but keep communicating with each other. Because if you think that they're asking you to, if you think that it's about to go down, like real bad, like yo, they're trying to hurt us into, trying to tell us to go somewhere and hurt us and to, communicate with each other, go into survival mode. Just don't go after them. Just be like, okay, I need to hide in the bushes. I need to go out in the woods and try to do the thing out there. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not telling you to be stupid. I'm just telling you that when you face the regular army guys and they are armed, if you do something stupid and they knock you off, nobody's going to care. That's what I'm telling you. It's not going to be a court system. You're not going to have the police. You're not. It's not like what the police do. That's not what's going to happen. That's not. If you get loud or show up with a weapon and stuff like that, it's going to be bam, keep moving. I promise you that. And if you never seen someone with an M16 or fired an M16 or seen someone get hit with an M16, let me explain to you what an M16 does when it hits you. When an M16 bullet comes out, it's about that big when it loads, about that much of it comes out. When that bullet comes out and it hits you, the reason why it's so dangerous is because it can hit your arm and hit a bone in your arm and then come out of your leg. What happens is the M16 bullet tumbles when it hits you. That's why it's so different. So different from an AK-47. AK-47, when it hits you, little hole in the front, big hole in the back. M16, totally different. That bullet will bounce in you in one area, go right through your major organs, and bounce out a whole nother area. It is a very, very, very lethal weapon. Very lethal. So that's what I'm saying. When you see these people, just do what they say. Don't play around. Don't play the game with them. You don't want no smoke with them. You know. And I'm saying this out because I care for you guys. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying for you to be afraid of them because they're people just like you. But their mind state is different than a weekend warriors. It's gonna be complete different. So if you do go on lockdown, have yourself a plan. Also, don't just uh, don't just wing it. Have yourself a plan. You know, you guys. I've been talking to you guys for weeks. You guys, if you could afford it, you guys should have at least a month's worth of food, a month's worth of supplies. If you don't, you'll still be able to get it, but it's just going to be harder now. But I've been talking to you guys for weeks and telling you possible lockdown's going to happen. So tomorrow, if you don't have your act together, go out there and start looking for food. The streets are not closed. Restaurants are closed. No big deal. But go out there and start looking for supplies. You might be able to look on the internet and see who has supplies and who doesn't. You might be able to make some phone calls to save you some gas. You know what I'm saying? But that should be your modus operandi. Now, I went out and got 3 months worth of food. That's what I did. I said 1 month is not going to do it for me. So I have 3 months worth of food, and I might be eating out of a can. I don't care as long as I'm not sitting up here starving. I have 3 months worth of water, even though water's still coming out the spigot. If they cut that water off, I might be good for at least 2 months, sparingly. But I went out and bought medication, painkillers, and stuff like that, antifungal, like athlete's foot, stuff like that. Or so if you get a little, nick in your, arm or whatever, you have some disinfectant or anti, you know, fungal stuff, so it doesn't get all, messed up. I went and got some Clorox stuff to keep my house clean with. So, your bathroom especially. Keep your bathroom clean. Keep your hands washed and stuff like that. Keep your toilet clean, especially if you have more than one person. You know, keep all that clean. Wipe that down. I don't know where toilet paper is gonna be, but I'm sure there's gonna be more. It's not like they stopped making toilet paper, so you'll be able to get toilet paper and other things along that, other provisions. So if you went to the store and you didn't see it, don't panic. The trucks are still rolling in, and I know this because I went to the store yesterday and I asked the lady for some Perel, and she said, "Well, the truck just came in; it just hasn't loaded everything out yet on the aisles." So the trucks are still coming in, is what I'm saying. I know idiots are buying up all the stuff, but that's going to come to a screeching halt too. But go out tomorrow. Don't have them ration stuff out to you. You don't want to play that game either. Just go out tomorrow and you should have a list. For those of you who have the money, for those of you who don't, we understand that. We might be able, I'm thinking there might be something that could be done about that. I'm not sure what though, but have yourself a list of what you need, the food that you need, stuff like that, canned goods, rice, get some rice. So as long as that water's on, as long as you still have heat, you'll still be able to cook. So get yourself some rice. Rice goes a long way. Some potatoes. All the potatoes are gone in Kroger's that I went to. All of them except the little 4 pack. So I grabbed a bunch of 4 packs, but the big bags of potatoes wiped out, all gone. So if you can get yourself some potatoes, uh, uh, just foods that you need, like a lot of the cake and stuff like that. Don't mess with. You don't need it. Don't go out and buy cakes and cookies, and that's a waste of money right now. That's not what you need. It's not going to do nothing for you. It really isn't. I tell people again, don't sit around and do nothing either. Drop down, grab some push-ups every now and then, just to so in case you got to get out there and walk it out, it's not you're not gonna fall out. If you got to walk a couple miles, because if the gas pump stop, your truck is gonna stop, your car is gonna stop. When that happens, you might have to foot it a couple miles to get what you want. You do not want to have a hard time doing that. So don't go in the house and get lazy. I ain't telling you to, run around the house like an idiot either. Just, every now and then do a little shadow boxing. Get your heart rate up there for a little bit, and you'll be good. You know what I'm saying? Things along that way. It'll also help your digestive system, your lungs. Uh, a lot of people who succumb to this virus are, listen, here's the biggest problem with America. It's okay in China, for those of you who don't know, Asians are fascinated with smoking. There is a whole village, a whole project of people who have cancer. Everybody in that project has cancer. Just think about that. The whole village, everybody there smoked. They all have cancer. They're all dying of cancer. This is a real thing. So you have a virus that, if you have, some kind of lung infection or whatever, it's going to kill you, or it can kill you. You're going to have a hard life, especially if, you're 40 and up. So for their death toll is understandable to me. Actually, the children are the one who are, they're a lot safer. So that death toll, it's just understandable. A lot of you people smoke because you think it's chic. Over here, you know what it is? Obesity. Obesity. Because we eat a lot of food that's not good for us. We eat a lot of food that's processed. You know what I'm saying? We eat a lot of food that has things in it that, you know, should not be consumed. We do this. We are a fat nation. We are. So obesity is the extenuating circumstance for us. And this is one of the doctors were saying that they're like America, has an obesity problem. So and okay, so doctor told me I was obese because I think I'm 40 pounds, overweight. He told me I was obese. I'm like, I can still get out there and I mean my knees didn't kill me. I can still get out there and run a little bit. What are you talking about? I ain't obese. I got upset. But according to the fat index, he's correct. He was correct. I'm like, okay, well shoot. So I started hitting the gym more so I could lift weights. So I figure if I'm gonna be a fat guy, I'm at least be a strong fat guy. Uh, so America has a serious obesity problem. So you can see a lot of deaths in people who are 30 simply because they had horrible eating problems. You can see a 20-year-old succumb to it simply because they were, obese or morbidly obese. We have this now. When you say the judgment of America, that can be a judgment. That can be a judgment because you're not supposed to sit around and do nothing and just, eat ho hos all day. And then people say, live your truth. Are you out of your mind? Your body is a machine and it's not supposed to be abused. And if you're living your truth, I'm just gonna be a fat, sloppy, out of and then you get other people to glorify it, and then something like this comes along. Well, yeah, you just been judged, and you die from it. You knew that's what you wasn't supposed to do, but a bunch of people got behind you and said, "Hey, just do what you want to do. It's okay." Well, it's not okay. It's not okay. And when this goes away, listen, a virus, okay, the common cold, when the common cold gets into somebody's system, it's a virus. All right. You don't cure the common cold. There's no cure for the common cold. You're curing the symptoms. You're just treating the symptoms. So whether it's a runny nose or a cough or whatever, you're treating the symptoms. But you're not curing the common cold because it's hiding in your spinal cord. When you have the chicken pox, when you had, excuse me, have had, let me say this. Reason why I'm saying had because when you got the chicken pox as a kid, I never got it. When you got the chicken pox as a kid, they treated you for the symptoms of the chicken pox, right? Then the chicken pox so called went away. Well, if an elderly person who had the chicken pox as a kid starts getting pain in their arm and pain in their legs and all over their body, guess what they have? Shingles. You know where shingles comes from? The chicken pox. It's the same thing. They just call it something different now because you're older. It's the chicken pox. It doesn't go anywhere. If you get the coronavirus, the virus isn't going anywhere. It will still be in your system. If you are somebody who can exercise but won't and gets caught up in this Hollywood world we live in of living your truth and doing what you want, despite the best advice to not live like that, to take care of your body, take care of your mind and your soul. If you live in that ignorance, you still listen, it's still possible for you to succumb. I'm just saying this not off of a medical point of view because I'm not a doctor. But I'm assuming that you could probably still succumb to something like this. Who says that the coronavirus won't show up again in your, and be something else? Who says that it won't? If the freaking if other viruses can do it, who says coronavirus can't do it? Don't be silly. Don't be silly, people. Be smart. Exercise.
even while you're in lockdown. Shadow box. That'll get your heart rate up. You know what I'm saying? Get all your muscles going. You know what I do? I lift the water. I take the water and I wrap it up and I lift weights with the water. Water's heavy. That's what people do in prison. That's how they work out in prison, in jails, when they have 24-hour lockdown. That's how they work out. They take water, they fill and put water in bags, and they lift the water. So I'm telling you guys to do that. Not lift the water. Well, I ain't saying not to, but I'm saying don't become inactive. Don't sit around and Netflix and chill for 3 months. Don't do that. Don't do that at all. I know some of you have children. I can't really give you advice on your children, but I can say this: if your kid got the coronavirus and you got the coronavirus, there's a good chance that your kid will pull out of it a lot better than what you will. It's just the truth. Because there is not a lot of deaths of the coronavirus or from the coronavirus when it comes to kids. It's just not. I think that's because their immune system is high powered. You know, kids can get into anything. You know, they get in dirt and other kids touching them and hugging and running around. You know, crazy. You know, with running outside with no coat on. Kids can do that, and they're cool. You know, if an adult does that, you know, they got to worry about coming back in with the sniffles and all that other kind of stuff. So it's just different from us. For us, our immune system is not what it used to be. So kids are not dying of the coronavirus. You guys got any questions for me? Anything I can possibly? Oh, if you want to know what the mortality rate is, how many people are living, dying, and infected, go to corona dot I saw it on World Star Hip Hop. Corona dot I forgot what the address was. Oh man, I forgot what that address was, but it was on a reporter was talking about it on World Star Hip Hop. How there are a lot of people who have it and are just fine. And you saw how many people were dying, how many people were infected, so on and so forth. I forgot what the address was. You could also go to the CDC. It's a little harder to find all that information on the CDC, especially for your area. But you guys should go into the CDC and just look around. Another thing is about the CDC is you're going to get most of your answers from the CDC and the World Health Organization. But for your area, even for your town, you're going to get a lot of that information is going to come from the CDC because your governor and your mayor, they're getting all their information from people who are working at the CDC. So go onto their website. They're probably gonna answer a lot of questions for you. Uh, yeah, definitely. Any questions? Okay, you guys don't have no questions for me. No questions. I think Ohio's going to be on full lockdown soon. I think we're going to be on full lockdown. 100%. some of your jobs, people were. There's a question. Okay. You think the urban. I need my glasses. Can you guys hold on a second while I get my glasses? Let me get my glasses real quick. Hold on a second while I get my glasses, you guys. I'm coming. I'm coming. Okay. Okay. You think the urban area can take the quick change? Uh, um. Well, it's not about if they can. You really don't have a choice. Now, I think you're asking me that because we live by our own rules in the urban area. That's understood. But everybody's gonna have to fall in line. There's gonna have to be order. So, like, you don't want to be made to fall in order. Just fall in order. Now, do I think there's gonna be some unrest? Absolutely. Do I think it's just gonna come from an urban area? No. Heck, I think you're probably gonna have, the hoity-toities go at it. You're gonna have the middle America and upper America. I think they're the ones who, probably think that, they deserve better. You got people who are poor, been poor all their life. They know how to, they know how to live poor. You have homeless people who know how to be homeless. It's the people who are not used to being without who you got to watch out for, because the one taste of discomfort that they get, it just sends their mind spiraling into the deep end. And it just like you see people, and this one lady had a whole she had like 5 8 rolls of toilet paper. She like cleared the whole doggone run. And this other elderly lady, she just had one, and that same greedy lady tried to take this elderly lady's her roll of 8 toilet paper. Like, that's just you got all this toilet paper in there, and you want to take the last roll. It just made no sense. Well, I, I'm gonna tell you something. Urban people aren't stupid. They're not stupid. They live within their means. You know what I mean? Yeah, see. I mean, I've been urban all my life. You know, they live within their means. There is order even in the urban area, in the concrete jungle. There is definitely order. There's a hierarchy. In the concrete jungle, you know who's doing what where. That's the thing about the concrete jungle. You have a lot of people who have money who live in the concrete jungle. They won't leave because they know everyone. They're not going to roll into the suburbs where they don't know everyone and they're uncomfortable, and the people in the suburbs don't want them. I mean, when you listen to 50 Cent talk, that was one of his issues when he first got rich. And he even talks about in one of his songs. He says, they call me new money, and they say I have no class. 50 was talking about his neighbors because he bought that big house in Connecticut. He was talking about rich people talking about him, talking bad about him, you know, because he moved out of the hood and into a nice neighborhood, bought one of the biggest houses in Connecticut, and they started talking about him like, what are you doing here? So you have a lot of people in urban areas who got money and they're hood rich. They just, I mean, they got Benzes, they got everything they need. They just won't leave because they know as soon as they do, they're gonna be in a place where they're just uncomfortable. So there is order in the hood. I don't think you're. It's like I said, it's not like a police shooting. You're not gonna have riots like that. And as long as those people stay fed and they have a projected date of when this could all be over and they know they can get medicine, they'll be fine. But the minute you deny them one of those things, you will have civil unrest. When you keep them in the dark and they don't know what's going on, if you treat them like gutter rats, you'll have civil unrest. If you have food trucks going around and they don't hit the hood, you're gonna have civil unrest, and they're gonna come out in droves, and it's not gonna be nice. Yeah, it'll get ugly real quick because they're already at a disadvantage during when everything was normal. Now everyone is, scared and not sure what's going on, and you want to act like you don't want to feed us. Oh, we're coming for the food. We're coming for the food. There'll be a face off. Absolutely. They'll be the first ones to face off with you quick, and it'll turn into there'll be tear gas going everywhere. Yeah, absolutely, because they want theirs. So if you don't treat them differently, then they'll be fine. Cool, cool. I live in Boston. Yeah, where you live in Southie? Boston. People don't seem ready for the hurt. Well, that's because you live in Boston. I mean, I mean, Tom Brady, come on. You live in Boston. You know, even though Boston got a little hood to it, but it's Boston. Boston. You know what I'm saying? People don't go, yeah, man, I'm from the hood in Boston, and people go, not black folks, but if you're, I mean, we know Whitey Bulger. We know about Southie. We know about that part of Boston in the hood. Oh, that gets mad respect because we know the gangsters come from there. But it's different though. It's a whole that's a whole different type of gangster. You know what I'm saying? That's not necessarily poor. You know what I'm saying? That's not you just don't look at Boston as a whole and go that's a place where there's a lot of poor people come out of there and it's a rough place to live. You guys have a segment, a small segment. But somebody says I'm from New York, automatically you start thinking this person had a hard life. Automatically, I'm from New York. I'm from Philly. You don't go, oh, you're from the suburbs of Philly. If somebody goes, I'm from Boston, you automatically think you're from the suburbs of Boston. It's just an automatic. It is. Oh, from Boston. Oh, okay. Yeah, you got a nice little spot, don't you? It's just different. They just don't have a rep like that. That's why those people don't seem to. I mean, you guys got one of the most expensive vacation spots. You guys, it's just an expensive place to live. But let me tell you something about those white people, and I'm particularly pointing out the white people who have all that money, because we know that there's a lot of rich people in Boston. Let me tell you something about that. When those people like when one of those big mansions, when one of those $2 million homes does get the virus, and somebody you know is visibly sick, there's going to be so much uncertainty in that household. There's just going to be so much uncertainty, and that uncertainty is going to. Oh, somebody's asking me to deliver. I don't even know they want see, that uncertainty is going to cause a wave of uncertainty. Margaret's going to talk to Mary. Mary's going to call Becky. Becky's going to call Susan. Susan's going to call Greta. Greta's going to talk to Elizabeth. And when Elizabeth gets that information, it's just going to go into panic mode. Did you know that Jason has the. I'm just saying it's different, because hardship to some people don't face hardship. It, they never have. And I ain't saying everybody in Boston's like that. I'm just saying when the upper echelon get it, it's just different. When people in the urban areas get it, even in Boston, it's like we've been going through stuff like this. If one of us dies from it, you know, it is what it is. You have people already talking about, man, I'm black and I'm poor. Like, I've been surviving that all my life. I'm not afraid of the coronavirus. You got people already saying that. They're just not afraid of it. They're just not. Well, I appreciate you being on my live. You just it's just people who are just not, they're really not. I mean, police shootings, them shooting each other. It's just a different vibe. You even got black people who've come out of the hood and made money who still have a hood mentality. And you have just black people who've never lived in the hood, but they have a hood mentality. They're like, I already know where not to go and where to go. I already know that. Look, I got millions and millions of dollars, but there's some places I just can't go because the white people don't want me there. And there's some parts of the hood that I can't go because black people will kill you as soon as you go there. I had a friend who wasn't my friend, just a guy I was dating, his girlfriend's sister. Two really cute dark skinned girls. And that's how me and him met. We just met that one day. And I was like, oh, this is your little boyfriend. And she's like, yeah, but he's moving. He's moving to LA. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I saw them again. I saw that those same chocolate sisters about 2 years later. I was like, what happened to your boyfriend? She's like, oh, they killed him. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they carjacked him and killed him. Just like that. He was very young, too. And she said it like it was nothing. Was no tears, no nothing. She's like, oh, yeah, they killed him. They carjacked him as soon as he got to LA. Killed him. Coronavirus. Most people ain't afraid. Most black folks ain't afraid of coronavirus. It's just not a big worry. They're more afraid of their neighbors. It's just the truth. Anybody else got any questions for me? Something I could attempt to answer for you? I tell you what, this has done for me though, because I wasn't sure what I was going to get a master's degree in. I am definitely going to get a master's degree in public health. It just because I was vacillating on whether I should get a master's degree in. I'm definitely going to get one in public health. Definitely. and I would like to get a doctorate in epidemiology. I just like it. I was studying the Zika virus while I was in college, and I just graduated 2 years ago. But I was fascinated with the Zika virus and how it was pretty much a pandemic that nobody, you know, why the Zika virus wasn't a big deal to most people? Uh, because it was attacking unborn children. The mosquito that carried the Zika virus would bite the mother, and if the mother was pregnant, then the fetus was affected immediately, and the head would come out enlarged or something like that. So it was attacking unborn children. That's why it wasn't like a big, oh my God, the Zika virus, even though you heard about it. What's going on, Lady G? How you doing? You doing all right? Give us an update on the ATL because somebody asked me about it. They wanted to know how the ATL was faring. I was like, I don't live in the ATL anymore. You know, I'm gonna say this one more again. If you guys are curious to what's going on in your city and or your state, go and look at the CDC. Your government, your local government, your local news, and even Washington, they're getting all their information from the CDC. All right, so you can just go right on to CDC.com and you can find out all your information. You can even look at World Health Organization and get your information from there too. But if you're looking for localized information, that's if you want to get it from the root instead of waiting for the news to get it to you, go and look at the CDC website. Get all your numbers, get all your facts. You're probably going to get projected numbers. You're going to get projections on what's going to happen in your city. Uh, they're telling you school closing. Listen, there's still some schools that aren't closed in some states. Our schools are closed. The state of Ohio is on lockdown. There are still states that have not closed their schools. Tomorrow's Monday. There are people going to school tomorrow. Believe that or not, there are people going to school tomorrow. So I don't understand that, but nonetheless, it's true. So you're going to have parents who are going to spray their kids down before they walk into a classroom, even though that's not going to help. And then they're going to spray their kids down once they come up out of that school. And you should not send your kid to school. Don't send your kid to school. Your kid is not going to wash their hands. They're not going to do what you tell them to. You're supposed to do all this hand washing and all this. Your your kid's not going to do it. I'm just telling you right now. I'm trying to text this person. Your kid's not going to do it. Do not send your kid to school. Uh, some of you are not going to be working. Your job is shut down. If your job is shut down, keep your kid at home. I know you don't like it. Do it because that's one huge variable that you don't have to worry about. Your kid is not as smart as you are. Your kid is not as wise as you are. Your kid is not. I don't care how intelligent you think your child is. Your kid is a kid. That is a kid. That is a child. And that child is not comprehending the full scale of what's going on in the world. And it's not your kid's job to do that. That's not your child's job. That is your job. That child's going to touch their friends, that touch their friends, that touch their friends. that touch their dog. The child's going to touch everything. And I'm talking about 17 and down, especially 17, because they have a social life. And their social life is in full tilt boogie. You do not want to compete with that. You just don't. They're going to go from classroom to classroom to classroom to classroom. Whoever sat in that seat since the coronavirus was. Not today, not this week, since the coronavirus was. Whoever sat in that seat, you don't know. They didn't spray the seat down. Now they are starting to spray down areas, but I highly doubt if your school got sprayed down. But they're starting to spray things down. Churches. I was saying this. I was saying this last week. Don't go to church. Then I felt guilty by saying don't go to church because people need church. Now I'm telling you, don't go to church. That doesn't mean you can't watch it. So I think what pastors are doing are they're televising, they're YouTubing or streaming, whatever they're doing. That's fine. Watch reruns. Get your Holy Ghost on. Get that in there. Get that absolutely. But do not go to church, especially you people who belong to these mega churches, these big churches in Atlanta, in Houston. Do not go to church. I'm warning you. Do not go to church. Oh, let me give this people this message. Some of you are going to do it anyway. Some of you are going to do it. You're going to do it because your pastor, your friends, your loved ones are going to convince you to go. And they're going to give you the song and dance of, you see, the Lord said, ain't no coronavirus going to stop me. We going to come to church and yeah. Do not do it. Don't do it. Don't. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to the sermon. Don't listen to the hype. Don't listen to none of that. Stay at home. Stay alert, stay alive, stay clean. Don't go. Just don't go. Don't think because you can't smell it or see it or somebody else isn't beside you coughing that it's not there. Because you don't know who's been in and out of the church. You only go there on Wednesday and Sundays. And all of those people have been around a bunch of other people, have been around a bunch of other people, and the coronavirus has been going on for the last 3 months. And because you haven't got it yet, don't mean you can't. As a matter of fact, it's a good chance that we're all going to get it. And I know somebody's going, don't speak that on me. I'm not speaking nothing on you. I'm telling you statistic wise. Just like influenza, the flu. I'm telling you statistically, it's a good chance you're going to get the coronavirus. But statistically, it's a good chance you're going to live right through it. You'll get it. You might, you might have a fever for a couple days. Boom, it'll go down. You had it, it's gone. It's only a 3 day. It's not a 3 day incubation period, but if you have it for like 3 days and you're good, then that's it. That's it. That's all. But don't provoke it either. Don't provoke it. Because some of you live with somebody who's 40 and over. Some of you have fat relatives. Some of you have relatives who have some type of lung issue. You don't want to say because I'm a sports person and been running and fit, I'm young, and all this other goofy stuff that I'm good, and everything's good. No, because if you bring that home and your mother or grandmother, grandma in her 60s, got, whatever going on with her, and you give grandma a hug, next thing you know, grandma fades to black. Temperature goes up, she's coughing. Well, your goofy behind gave it to her. And now, you're burying her in less than 3 days. And she was just right as rain. On Sunday, come Wednesday, there's going to be a lot of slow singing and flower bringing. So don't go. Don't go to church. Just wait until the storm is over and then return to church when everybody else does, when it's safe. Don't go. Watch it on YouTube. Call your friends. Call everybody. Have a Skype. Call all your church friends and, Skype it. Skype it out. You can do that. But don't go to a church, especially a mega church. And then you want to hug and shake everybody's hand and pat all the kids on the head. Don't do that. But you guys will anyway, because I'm just an old guy behind a computer screen. You're not going to listen to me. But you should. Quarantine yourself. If you self quarantine yourself, it's not a bad thing. You have senators, heads of state. That's a double entendre, isn't it? Senators, heads of state. A senator is a head of state. Okay. You have heads of state who've already quarantined themselves since a week and a half ago. It's not a bad thing. Now, some of them have quarantined themselves because some of their assistants got sick. So there is one woman, she was like, because her assistant was sick. Her legislative aide got sick. And so she, went home, closed down shop. And then she had people come into her office and deep clean the office. Let me say this. They probably used Lysol, bleach, whatever. That place is not deep clean. It's not deep clean. I'll tell you right now, it's not deep clean. It's not deep clean. They may have came in and vacuumed, sprayed a little Febreze or whatever. Took some 409 and that place ain't deep clean. That virus ain't, that virus still in there. That virus is still in there. And when she comes back to work, she's going to get sick. And then you're going to hear about it on the news. And it's going to be a perfect example of how that virus can linger even after you so called deep clean. China is deep cleaning. Okay. They're walking the streets like Ghostbusters, side by side, side by side, spraying, literally spraying the street with whatever it is that they have. China is doing some deep cleaning. They have fog machines on the back of trucks going 5 miles an hour like a street cleaner spraying high up on buildings. Those jokers are deep cleaning. All right. They're pulling people out the car. All right. And taking those people to God knows wherever if they have a fever. And then after they get done with them, they have they spray all the soldiers down. They doing something. We're not deep cleaning. They're doing the deep cleaning. All right. And they're the only ones right now who know how to be truthful. They know how to fight the virus better than any country. Anybody got any questions for me? I don't know who's still here. There's two of you still here. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer real quick? Huh? Just like a question mark. Somebody trying to buy one of my refrigerators. Anybody got any questions for me? Or any statements? Any information that we need to know? Once again, the death toll right now in America is 50. The morbidity rate, I think that's the proper term, is 1%. The number of, so you look at the number of people in your state, take 1% of that and say, this is the potential death toll. Trying to talk to this woman. I think she's trying to buy a refrigerator from me. Yeah. So, like I said, the death toll is 1%. There are 11 million people in my state. I do not think that, and it can be under 1%, actually. I think that's the highest it goes, is 1%. I don't think 1% of Ohioans are about to lose their life. But the potential for that to happen is real. So, yeah. If you do get sick, make sure you take care of yourself. And if you do get sick, don't hide it. Like, don't let your pride get in your way. Go and get taken care of. Yeah, go and taken care of. Get taken care of.
Get yourself taken care of. Okay, I got to talk to these people. They're trying to buy some stuff from me. All right, you guys, talk to you later. God bless you.